Hey guys, it's Carl Galler with Carl Galler Builds here. The next edition of the Beach Buggy build, that would be episode 20. I had thought that I was finished with most of the welding, or at least the major welding, and I had thought about some sort of maybe. I actually tried to price out louvers for here. I just thought it'd be kind of cool, even though this is just a skin that goes to nowhere, just to the rear deck. Then I got to thinking, how about taking the louvers from a crusty old VW deck lid, and so that's what I'm going to try to do. This deck lid was given to me by, it was through the efforts, it was owned by a guy named Mike, a guy named Dave who works on VW, close by here in Florida, not far, maybe a half-hour drive. And they literally just gave me this. And that's really, really so cool about the VW community down here, also the YouTube community in general. You kind of put out a kind of a want or need, and either some people will help you source it, or they'll just outright give it to you, which is like pretty crazy. But anyway, so I'm thinking about cutting this louver out of here, just pulling this off. I might have to kind of re-arc it and somehow welding it into here, which means I have to grind away the initial body filler that I stuck in there, but no biggie. So that's where I am currently. I'm going to start by cutting out these louvers, laying on the deck here, and they'll be louvers to nowhere. I mean, I'm not going to cut them in, but I will weld them in. But it'll be lap welded and then filled. And I guess what I'll do is I'll paint underneath them with black, so they look like they go to some cavity. But it's just going to be kind of an homage to the classic air-cooled VW days. So with that, wish me luck. Mineral spirits. Clean up the surface area, the surface that I'm working on. So part of the challenge is going to be, I want to leave myself a margin, at least an inch and a quarter margin all the way around. But inside that margin is within this strengthening bracket. So I'm going to have to figure out how to dissect this away from there without bending it all up. Thinking to be on the safe side, I might try cutting on the outside of this line. I can always cut off, but it would be a drag to try to put more on. So in case my tape gets burnt away as I'm grinding, I will have an outline. I got lots of right-handed gloves. Where are my left-handed gloves? Especially with my cold, I'm trying to be a little bit more safety conscious. I'm always wear my eye protection, but I'm a little lax with my respiratory protection. Well, what do you know about that? It came right off. It's not adhered to this. And it flopped right off. Pretty slick. I think I can live with that. Alright, what do you think, guys? It'll all be welded in. Should I put it there? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? I'm thinking about the middle third, right about. I think there is probably the most aesthetically pleasing. Yet one other thing I learned from Bad Chad Hiltz up in Nova Scotia is to eyeball stuff. I'm not going to sit here and suffer over exactly this exact margin, so I taped, in order to figure out a margin to cut that's going to be even all the way around, I followed the contour of the louvers, okay? I came out with tape. It wasn't enough, so I came and I left just an eyeball, I guess about a 1/4 inch margin. This is all done by eyeball. It might vary a little bit, but I'm going to be welding this in anyway, so I think I have it pretty good, pretty square, and I'm going to try to shear it rather than grind it. Let's see if that works. The metal I've been cutting with this shear is 18 gauge, and it cuts pretty good, but this stuff is even thinner than 18 gauge. I think it's more like 20 gauge, which is surprising on a 60s era car. Doesn't cut like butter, but it cuts pretty good. Radius these corners. I do them with the hand shear, with the hand snips. I got another idea up my sleeve, boys and girls. These louvers extend just about a 1/4 of an inch, or a little less, maybe 3/32 of an inch. So I'm thinking about doing a bend, a right angle bend, and which will stand this off about 3/16 of an inch. So I'm going to give that a whirl, see if I can't make that happen. If I destroy this thing, it's the universe telling me that this is a stupid idea and won't look good. So I'm not going to stress too much about it. So in order to do the bends, I got to relieve these corners. Fine-tune this a little bit. Alright, I'm going to try to bend along this tape line. Bend this down. If it's not perfectly even, once again I'm welding it in. The idea is to just have it stand off of the metal a little bit. And I'm going to use regular old electrician's pliers to do the bend. It's starting the bend here. A little tedious, but easy enough to do. I know you guys are screaming at the TV and saying, mount it to a bench, mount it to a bench. It's like, I don't have a bench handy, I don't feel like doing it. By the time I mount it to a bench, this whole build will be done. So that's a lie. I'm not mounting it to a bench. I ain't doing it. Alrighty, so, got a nice angle here. I'm going to clean it up, of course. Once I weld it into the deck, it'll be floated with filler, So hopefully it'll disappear. But you can see it raises this panel off of these louvers, so I'm not trying to swinch this thing down against sheet metal and smash these louvers. That's why I'm doing this. So that's what I got. I'll clean it up. I want to gotta make this level with this, but this is worth testing anyway. All right, this is where I am. I've figured out where I'm going to place it, and I've painted this with rust-proofing black kind of primer, just so when I place this thing and mount it permanently, you know, there'll be a black underneath. Now, when I go to paint this and spray it or whatever I'm going to do, it's going to be a freaking nightmare. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. But I have this set up so it sits flush around here. I'm going to start tacking it in place to see what happens. Wish me luck. Alright, this is where I am so far. Got this little thing grafted in here. I'm going to put a fillet in here and smooth this all in. Kind of try to almost make it look like it's Frenched into the deck a little bit. I'm just going to play it by ear. I'm going to have to use quite a bit of putty in here. But see if I can make it pleasing. But I think it's kind of a neat look. It kind of looks like a homage to the air-cooled era of VW Beetles. I've got a couple of sloppy coats of the fiberglass reinforced filler, and I'm gonna try to get this to maybe be kind of a hump within a hump, but smoothed out and kind of sexy, Frenched in. It'll give the illusion that it's going into something, because that'll appear deeper than the area that it's connected to. So anyway, that's the thought pattern. We'll see. If it looks like shit, I can rip everything out. So wish me luck. Okay guys, here's where I am right now. I've got a lot of the fiberglass impregnated body filler kind of smeared over this. The idea is to kind of make this definition here kind of disappear, which will be a challenge. I might even grind down the metal a little bit just on the tips. But anyway, I'm getting kind of a nice little swoopy deck lid here. And you know, if I do my finish work well enough, then it might look like it was belong there. But anyway, I think I'm gonna put another, at least one other coat of this stuff on here before I start any serious shaping. So that's where I am. Wish me luck. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe attempt to put the grinder on this little corner and grind it down. Just take the point off of it, even if it goes into the vent a little bit, just to relieve this, so I can build it up a little smoother. Using the Bondo now. Put a couple coats of this down before I do any significant sanding. I'm going to kind of build up above this ridge so there's not a separate ridge. So I'm going to float the next coat of it right up and over the louver. That's the plan. Alright guys, here's where I'm at right now. Slopped on some of the baby shit colored normal Bondo as opposed to the green fiberglass, whatever it's called, reinforced. So I've got this floated almost level looks like shit. But it'll be a nice kind of a rise over this. Hopefully this will just all blend into the deck lid. It'll look all molded, and I'll do some sculpting there. I also, while I was at it, I don't know if you remember, the weld that was here was kind of a continuation of this stuff right here across the back. And I glopped, you know, prepped it with tape so it wouldn't stick, and glopped some of the fiberglass reinforced stuff in there. And before it set up too hard, I took my razor knife and cut it, and it actually made a really nice clean line. Now it doesn't give me any sort of a shut line, you know, whatever, 1/8 of an inch. So, you know, like I would have here. I'm not sure I necessarily need that. I don't mind it to look, you know, kind of nice and flush. I think the only reason they do this from the factory is it's impossible to have tolerances like this in mass production. So, but worst case scenario, I can kind of grind it out to be a nice kind of even shut line. But we will see what happens. I will be getting the grinder out. I'm going to let this set up overnight, so I'll get the dual orbital, random orbital sander out and hit this thing. So, hey guys, trying something new for you this morning. Quite the fashion statement, but I'm hoping that it gives you a little bit better viewpoint of the task at hand, which is going to be grinding down some of this muck that I have on here from yesterday. Anyway, I apologize if we're out of frame. I tried to do a couple tests to see if it, you know, if where I'm working is in frame. So bear with me, and let's see if this works. Here we are, got this sanded down. Until you have paint or any kind of a gloss on here, it looks pretty good. It's molded in nicely, but I can just feel there's more waves in this than the Atlantic Ocean. You know, I'm not gonna shoot for perfection, but I don't want it to look like pure shit either, so I am far from understanding all the nuances to body work. So I'm going to try to learn. I've learned a lot from different online sources like Bad Chad and Casey's Customs and some other guys, Half-Ass Customs, just down and dirty guys that are coming up with some nice builds. So we'll keep it on. I mean, I know how to fill these things with the, you know, glazing putty and such, and I've only hit this with 80 grit paper. So I am going to skim it again, and I have a little bit of a swoop here, which I kind of like, but want to make it a little bit more gradual. And I want, since when I bent this, it's not, obviously it's not an even edge, so I want to kind of float it with the Bondo to kind of, so I can kind of trim it off and make it nice and whatever. I don't know. Anyway, wish me luck. Okay guys, here's where I am at the moment. I have floated a mega coat on here. The metal, the sheet metal under here is kind of wavy, and so I have floated this major coat here. I'm going to cut most of this down with my 80 grit DA, And then I'm gonna block this. I have a long 12-inch block, and I'm gonna block sand this to try to get this smooth. It's amazing that this one little project here has sucked down a couple days worth of work. But I think overall it's kind of an interesting addition to the overall build. So anyway, wish me luck. That's my dog Arnold. Come here, Arnold. You want to help? Come here. Come here. You want to help with the body work? Okay, guys and girls, this is where we are. We have started done the 80 grit DA sanding, done a bunch of coats here. I've started doing the block sanding using 80 grit. You can see the crosshatch in here, and it really starts helping to straighten out the highs and lows here. But once again, not going to be looking for perfection, just want something fun to drive. Started sculpting a little bit on the side. I know it looks like chicken shit, but I'm going to build it up. I'm trying to get a little bit of a radius on here so it's not so awkward getting in and out, rubbing your leg across it. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Episode 20. Not sure what I look like. I might look like a clown with all the sanding dust on my face. But anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Tried a couple new filming techniques, and editing in some music and such. Anyway, this is Carl Galler for Carl Galler Builds. Please like, share, subscribe. I am far from any monetization, so that's not the goal, but it's fun to get some subscribers, and I think we're up to about 170, 172 right now, so I'm kind of thrilled with that. The watch time is going up, which I guess means that I'm doing a little better job of editing. So for all of you guys that have hung around to the very end, thank you very much. Please comment. I'd like to hear suggestions and such. And I guess that's about it. I love to hear myself talk, but I guess I'll give you guys a break. So anyway, Carl Galler with Carl Galler Builds, and I am out.